And I think I would have liked to know that being creative isn't, I used to think that I needed people's approval to be creative. I needed someone to give me like a stamp of approval, like, here is your certificate. You may now go create. Like, I didn't know that you could just do it. I thought you needed permission. I thought you needed a degree. I thought you needed, like, someone needed to kind of tell you to do it, you know?
Some kind of validation.
And I realized, exactly, some kind of validation. And the thing is, as we have established, I love academic validation. As we have established, I love good grades. Yeah. But, like, I thought I needed to wait for permission. I thought someone was going to give me some form of, like, blueprint or some form of, like, I don't know, like, hey, you need to do this. And I just, like, I had to just start. Like, the ticket was just starting. And I definitely, like, would have liked to be told that a little bit earlier in my life.
But thank you so much, Kundai, for being here. Really do appreciate you coming through and being on the podcast. It does mean a lot. I think the podcast is nothing without the people who are gracious enough to take time out of their schedule to sit down and chat with us. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, you're totally welcome. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah. So how are you doing? That's my first question. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And how's life going so far this year? I mean, so far, we're midway through, but like, yeah, how are things going?
I think I'm doing well. I feel like I'm doing well for any mid-20s person right now. I'm very tired because there's a lot of work going on and a lot of things that are happening, like juggling 2-3 things at the same time. But overall, I feel like I'm happy and tired. How are you doing?
Ooh, I think tired. I can definitely agree with you with being tired there. I'm very tired, very exhausted. I posted a video recently on Instagram, and someone was able to pick it up and wasn't decent enough to say it in my DMs, and they just commented, they're just like, yo bro, you look really tired. And I was like, yeah bro, it's been one of those. But it's like, despite being tired, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep doing what you need to do.
You gotta keep doing what you're doing.
You gotta keep doing what you're doing. But I'm good overall. Besides being tired, I think I feel really blessed and taken care of by God, and that is really encouraging, and I think I'm also excited just to flip over a new chapter in my life in terms of finishing studying. So I've got about...
Oh, you're finishing studying soon.
Yeah, I finished in June, and I'm really excited about that. I've been studying consistently for the last 5 years now, and I'm tired. I'm tired.
I bet.
I'm tired. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's something worth celebrating for sure. But I'm good. I appreciate you asking. No one really asks me. I ask everybody on the podcast. I'm like, how are you doing? Then they answer me, and it's just like, how about
But do you think there's ever going to be a tired? But do you think there's ever going to be a time when we're not tired though? Like, when you really look at it.
I'm thinking about that now, and it's like, I don't think so. Because after this chapter, it's the next chapter,
Mm-hmm.
For those who want to get married, you start to think about getting married, having kids.
Oh,
and then once you have kids, that's a different story, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's a whole different ballgame. The amount of marriages I've been seeing on my Instagram feed is crazy. Like,
it's crazy, right? It's like, married. This is our time. This is when we start getting married. I'm like, nah, bro, what is going on?
We're the new adults.
What the heck? It's scary. Like, it's actually scary.
Oh yeah, no, it's very scary.
I get to a point where I'm talking to my mom, and she's like, "Cool, murora alpha." And I'm like,
oh my god,
it's crazy how you're the same person, about 10 years ago. It's like, stay away from the girls, bro.
yeah, and now they're like, oh, where's what's going on?
What's happening?
Where's she coming over?
It's funny. It's so crazy.
No, it's very funny.
But I think it's also beautiful, man, to see people growing up.
Same. Yeah,
see people mature and step into that space. Exciting times we're living in. Very, very exciting times.
Oh yes, for sure. I feel like
yes. You can
I was just saying. I feel like definitely it's one of those things where you finish school, then you work for a little bit, and then you're like, okay, now I have to settle down, find somebody, settle down, and then the next chapter starts. Kids, milestones, birthdays, and it just keeps going and going and going and going.
don't forget about your career, bro. You're trying to push this grind on the side as
Right.
well.
Exactly.
Hey.
And you're trying to work. And so currently I work my full-time job, and then I do
Mhm.
a part-time job doing the same thing that I do at my full-time job. And then I also do art. so
What
so
the heck?
make it make sense.
What the heck? We'll definitely jump into that. We'll definitely get into that. I'm
Oh
excited
yeah.
to hear more about how you actually are able to balance all of that, man. It's that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I can relate in some way. I don't have two jobs like you. I think just the dynamic of being able to balance a full-time job, school, and my creativity as well. That's that's crazy. But I think it's reaped more benefits than it has, negatives. Like just in terms of building character, resilience, and that kind of perseverance. It's been incredible. Um, and I honestly wouldn't have chosen any other way to go through it. I mean, I'm excited to get it over and done with, but the lessons that I've learned going through it, like I wouldn't have had if I hadn't gone through it. You know what I mean? So, truly grateful for that dynamic, and for being able to navigate through it as well. But I mean, for people who are listening in, who do not know who you are, please tell us what it is that you do and what brings you on the podcast today as a creative.
Okay, so my name is Kundai. I can say my full name, Kundai Mufara, and I am an artist. So what brings me to the podcast is basically my art page. So I draw these like weird dark black lines on a white background, or sometimes white pen and a black background, and they're like doodles. So when I was younger, I'd always like draw on my like notebook so that I could pay attention in class, and I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it as I like grew older. So now I make art out of those doodles, and they're like black and white drawings. I also make like coloring pages, so that's how I, ended up here, because that I am a creative who exists on the internet, and this is the Creators Connect. so, so I ended up here because I am currently creating art on the internet.
Oh, you're incredible too, I must say. I love your work so much. It's very captivating.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you so much. I was
it's
actually
very,
laughing with
very.
you on Instagram. Remember when I was saying it's very nice to know that my work isn't just going out there into the
Yeah,
ether?
it's not. It's
I
definitely
know, it's
not.
amazing.
It's really incredible. Um, the work that you're doing and the way you've also gone about presenting your work to the world. I mean, it's very difficult. It's one thing to be um, a line artist, right? Pen to paper or pencil to paper or whatever. But then in this day and age, you can't just like pop up in a gallery or pop up in like a store and set up shop and start selling. You have to create videos. You have to create other content over and above your normal, field, so that you can market yourself. So you're doing a lot. You're really doing a lot. And it's really nice to see you step out there and create, videos and photos and present your work in a captivating way as well. So we definitely love to see it. But what's your background? I know you spoke about like doodling, uh,
So
growing up.
I,
Um,
so my background, I'm gonna cover like, it's gonna sound like a lot, but bear with me. It's going somewhere.
okay,
So
okay.
I did my undergrad in biology and biotech. So I was
Whoa,
a science
whoa,
girl.
whoa! That's a lot already. That's a whoa.
I know.
What the heck?
It sounds like completely
Dang.
like it's like completely out of like completely different from what you would expect.
Yeah, definitely. Like, what the heck? Okay, I'm excited now. Let's go. I mean, I was excited already, but like, tell me
Yes.
more.
So I could actually backtrack a little bit. So when I was in high school, I did O levels and A levels because I was in the Zimbabwean school system, right? And so what happened was the only two subjects I got A pluses in were English and biology. So I was like, okay. I've got A's in other ones. I've got 2 A pluses. I'm just gonna run with the ones that I have A pluses.
With the ones I have,
yeah, because I was like, and I got a B in art, and that broke my heart, and I left it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore because I clearly am not as good at it as I thought I was. And then I just abandoned it and I ran with the English and the biology, which leads me to the undergrad in biology and biotech. But see, the only 2 things I could do are English and biology. So now I am a scientific writer.
It's crazy.
Those are the 2 things I could do. So I just ran with it. I'm a science content writer. So what I do is I basically read all the complex scientific papers, the stuff that nobody wants to read and the stuff that nobody wants to understand. Then I present it in a super simple way in like blog articles or video scripts or something that's just super simple to understand. And I kind of help researchers communicate their science to lay people and also apply for grants and get money from the government and all that fun stuff.
All that fun stuff. Yeah. Let's go.
Because researchers really need funding. So they need someone to talk about their work in a fun way. So that's basically...
Do you enjoy that?
I love it. I do. I really do. So I think when I was in school, when I was in university, I used to hate lab reports, right? Because it was just so much writing. Then when I got to 3rd year, 4th year, I realized that most of my school is going to be writing. It's going to be writing research papers and whatnot. And after I started doing it, I was like, oh, I understand my work a whole lot more when I write about it than when I study. It just wasn't working. Like if I study, yeah, I get it because I could like retain information and just put it on paper. But when I did a paper about it, I was able to explain it to like, I would just talk to my dad about it and just tell him everything. Oh my gosh, you know, this could happen and this and that. And I was like, oh wow, I can retain it a lot more when I do the research by myself and then I present it in like a single piece. So that's why I started like looking for jobs after school. I looked for some lab jobs, but I knew I wasn't going to be very good in the lab. Like I knew that I'm very like quote unquote creative, that like a strict protocol in a repetitive way would just like, it would just kill me. So
it would bore you to death, eh?
Oh yeah, no, I would be gone. Like I would just like lose all the fun at work. So like I started off with a job where I was the first like scientific content writer they ever hired. And I just
I
just winged it in my interview, honestly. Like, and I was just like, oh, you know, the cool thing about me is I have a science background, so I'm gonna understand what you're saying. And they're like, okay, let's try it out.
Okay, so when you went for this job interview, was it for that specific post? It was for that post.
It was. So they just wrote content writer on the post.
Okay.
Right. And then I applied for it, but because they are a tech company that works with chemistry, like material, right? They wanted someone who was going to understand like the gist of what they're doing and then explain it. So then when I got into the interview, I just winged it. I was like, hey, yes, I'm really good. Like, I'm so good. You would not believe how much I could write. I had not written a single thing.
Oh my days. You need to seize the opportunity, man. You need to seize the opportunity.
I weaved those tales. I really did. I told them all this stuff, and then they hired me. Within the first 3 months of the job, they're like, oh, you're actually really good at this. And I was like, thank you. It's like, I did not know.
That's what I told you. It's what I told you in the beginning. Hey, I told you I was good.
No, it was really funny because my boss was primarily like an English background writer. So that was really good for me because I was a science background writer. So I didn't know the actual like English command, like all that other fun stuff. So he was like a mentor to me, like did everything, like taught me how to make a portfolio, taught me how to like pitch myself, taught me how to do everything. So that's how I ended up like being a scientific writer for my day job, if you may.
All right. So that's that on the day job.
Yeah.
Can we get to the side hustle that you're doing the same thing you're doing at your day job? It's like, what the heck?
So after like about 6 months of that job, my boss, like the one that I liked, quit. And then I got a new boss, and that boss was not particularly like the mentor type boss. She was more get things done and like get them out the door. And I started to get very frustrated because it was useful having a creative person as a boss because he knows how to manage creative like people. Like, because with creative people, sometimes it's not methodical. Sometimes
it's never methodical.
It's never methodical. So she didn't understand. She thought you could just pop up 800 words like on command without a method. Like, she thought you could just like do whatever. So it was very, very taxing. And I realized that, like, okay, if I stay here, I'm going to be very miserable. But the thing is, when you apply for jobs that say content writer, there's like 200 applicants and no one is going to hire you as a content writer. It's just like, that's what it is. You have to make a portfolio. You have to make more stuff. But because I wanted to move more into writing specifically about science, I had to figure out that I needed to write for other people that weren't my company as well. So I just started I fixed up my LinkedIn and I just started like messaging people and being like, hey, do you need a writer? I can write for you like this blog or that blog. I can communicate this to people and please hire me. That's basically what I did. And then I got like 2 companies that hired me and I was very excited. And they asked me for like 800 word to 1,000 word articles and I wrote them and then I could put them in my portfolio and in my CV because then I could use them. So what I did was I essentially created my own work experience by working for other people.
That's incredible.
Exactly. So I made my own work experience. Now, like on LinkedIn, I just put it as a services button on my LinkedIn. So when people literally want a writer, they click on that or they just message me and I send them my pitch. I have a whole little PowerPoint deck. That's a pitch that I got from another content writer that I messaged because I was asking her, how do you do this? Because she's a freelancer full time. And yeah, so that's how I got there. So then I tried my best, got another job to leave this company, left the company, and then started just doing it as a side hustle, just in case something happens at my current company and I don't want to work there anymore. I have this thing to fall back on that I wouldn't be stranded completely, if like something happened to my job, basically.
That's super smart, Brad. And I think I like your ability not to settle, because I think, speaking about your situation at your initial company with getting a new boss, I think the temptation a lot of the times is to just roll with it and suck it up and kind of force yourself to deal with situations that make you uncomfortable, and I think it takes a lot of courage to take hold of the situation and make a change to it yourself. And I think it's easy for us to get comfortable in a situation that's not comfortable. I don't know if that makes sense. So your ability to be like, you know what, this is not it. I'm going to go out there and find something that makes me happy. That takes a lot of guts. And I think your ability to do that is incredible. And I can learn a lot from that, from you. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's really, really incredible.
Being comfortable is definitely, because when that paycheck hits, suddenly the job doesn't seem so bad. Like, it's like, oh, I got a paycheck, so maybe I can stay for a few more months.
It always comes full circle when the paycheck comes, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's fine. I'm not really
not
that
too
miserable,
bad.
am I?
That's really honestly what we're trying to do, man. Like, we're honestly just trying to put food on the table. We're trying to make trying to keep a roof over our heads. Ideally,
trying to keep our hobbies alive as well.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully try and get to a point where our hobbies turn into something that can actually put food on the table.
Oh my gosh,
that's
the dream.
That is the dream. You know what I mean? It's crazy. The things we kind of go through to get there, but I believe that we can get there.
I think so too.
With consistency and perseverance, yeah, we can definitely get there. Right. So we've heard about the main job. We've heard about the side hustle. We want to hear about the creative side as well.
Yes. So the creative side dates back a long time ago. I feel like I got out the womb drawing, honestly. I feel like I don't remember a time where I wasn't creative. Like, I don't remember a time where I didn't have that going. So I started, so when I was really, really young, I used to do these one-woman shows in our living room for my parents, like the plays. I would be acting one-woman shows of what happened on the playground at school. So every night, I would come back.
Imagine.
And it's just always like, they knew everything that was going on the playground. They knew all the people. They knew their names. They knew everything we talked about, because I would just put on a one-woman show.
One-woman show.
Exactly. And when I would like come back like from school, or like when we do like school plays, because I was able to like memorize a bunch of lines and like recite them clearly. I'd always be the narrator of like the school play. So like so then that's where like I would be sick and I'm like narrating everything that's happening in the play, and it's like so funny. And
That's
then
crazy. You've always had a good memory. You always had a sharp mind. Hey,
yeah,
young
like
age.
the mind is probably, again, like I always say, the one thing I have going for me is my brain. Like it's
That's a
so
good thing
useful.
to have going for you. Believe me, that's a very good thing to have going for you.
It's
That is
yeah,
cool.
it's interesting. So then that's how like creative like endeavors basically started. I start grade one, and you know everything is good, and I'd have these like little drawings, and like my mom obviously would put them up on the fridge, or she'd like keep them, or she'd do all the things. You know, moms are moms. Moms will always be
Moms are
moms.
moms,
Yeah,
100%.
moms will always be moms. But out of my parents, like my dad is the more creative one, right? So then it would always be really cool. So in grade school, I remember I was in grade four, and my grade four teacher asked us to draw like Moses in the burning bush. And then I really went hard on that one. I
Let's
went
go.
home. I was like, yes, this is my time to shine.
It is my time to
This is
shine.
my time to shine. And I drew like Moses in the burning bush. And then I went to school and I showed her. She freaked out. She was like, oh my gosh, this looks so good. It looks
This is
exactly like the
unreal.
textbook. It's unreal. And she was
Yeah.
showing everybody. And I got like an art like prize at the end of the year.
Let's
Like,
go.
she was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I was like, okay, this is good. And my dad always laughs about like there's this shop called Art Attack in Harare, where like he would take me there and he would just lose me there, where I'd like go looking at pens and paper and stuff, and I'd like get out of there with like colors and pens and all sorts of things. And I would draw these like figures of like these women wearing like one arm tops, and like I would always
At
tell them
such a young age.
so young.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was crazy about it, and like I used to tell them that I was going to be a fashion designer when I grew up. Like, as in, they were all shocked when I pursued science. Like, they were confused. Like, literally, my family was like, "Could I like?"
This makes no sense.
Yeah, what did you get in art? What happened? Like, what is this? So yeah, no, it was very confusing for them. So like as a kid, I would just like draw these figures, and my favorite time was when like our teacher would be like, "Can you draw a picture of your best friend?" I was like, "Oh yes, this is it. This is the part."
This is it. Let's go.
So then we had art class where we'd like always like draw, like we'd copy what the teacher was drawing. And I loved that because I was really good at like copying, like obviously drawing from reference. So super good at copying. So I loved that. And then as I grew up, my art just kind of started to take a back seat. Like I knew I loved it, but it just started to like take a back seat. Like grade 7, it kind of fell off. Then when I started high school, then art class started again. And then it was the same thing. I would draw and I'd be like, oh, yay, this is really good. And my art teacher really liked me and I was very happy. I was one of those kids who spent time in the art classes. Like whenever you'd look for me, you'd find me in the art classes. That's where I was the whole time. Like the whole time. That's where I was. And my like early high school teacher, like she really liked my art. And then like as I grew like to like higher levels, my other art teacher also was pretty cool. He was a very chill dude, very mellow. And I used to have like a competition with this one other guy in my class who was also an artist. And he'd be number 1, I'd be number 2, or I'd be number 1, he'd be number 2. Like it was like neck and neck. Like
There's
that was
always someone competing with you in high school.
that
right?
was the
always
thing.
like that.
Exactly.
Oh,
it was like
man.
he was the one to beat. Like I was like, I'm gonna beat this kid. But well, sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes he was a lot better than I was, honestly. But yeah. Then okay, we move forward. We're still high school, do art for O levels. So get a B, and then I completely left it. I got that B, and then I was like, okay, so maybe I'm not as good at it as I thought I was. So I just never.
But it's a B.
I know.
Oh my
I
days.
know. I know.
Oh
I know.
my days.
I know. I know. My perception was distorted at the time. My perception.
You know the thing about art is, it's different from any other subject we're doing because there's no direct answer. There's no definitive answer. There's no marking scheme, if you can put it that way. You know what I mean? It's up to the discretion of the person who's looking at your artwork. So I think a B is very impressive. Like that was good. But I mean, obviously, in that moment, at that time,
Oh
at
yeah.
that age, you're not
We
thinking
should
that, you know.
we should call a 16-year-old Kundai and tell her.
Yeah, and tell her that, hey,
we need to tell her.
pursue art. You did well. You did well.
You're
You did
fine.
good.
You don't have to.
You did good. You did good. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think my question would be then, if you had gotten an A
yeah.
in your A levels, would you have pursued art then?
100%. I would have done art, French, and maybe a business class for my 3 A-level subjects. And I would have just ran with it. Like, I would have done art in university.
No
I would have
way.
gone pro. 100%. Like, 100%. I wouldn't have thought about it twice. Yeah. Like, because I knew I loved it, to the point where if I had gotten an A+, it would have been art, French, and a business class, for sure. But
yeah, but then I think it just shows how much it meant to you to be the best at what you do, which is not a bad thing, you know. I think it was for you. It was almost like, okay, from what I'm getting is like it has to be my best or nothing at all. You know, like if I can't leave it all on the table, then I can't do it at all. But then again, like I've just mentioned, it was up to the discretion of another human being, man. And with art, I think what I've been learning, I think it was like that for me as well, starting out. I mean, obviously, I'm not getting graded or anything like that, but sharing your work on the internet, you kind of rely a lot on people's reaction to it. That can either encourage you or discourage you. And then sometimes it's just like no reaction at all. It's just there and no one says a thing. And you're like, dang, but the amount of work that I put into this thing. So a lot of the satisfaction that I'm looking for in this process of creating content, making art, is reliant on people's reaction, which is not sufficient. It's not going to take me far, you know. So growing up and doing it more often, realizing that the only individual that I need to satisfy is myself and God, obviously, but like I need to satisfy myself.
He gave you the gift, so he would
like
that.
So if I'm happy and satisfied with the work before I release it to the world, the reactions I get from it are not or should not affect me as much. I'm not saying I'm going to be immune to the comments, but like if I'm happy with it before I release it and I'm satisfied, and then the reactions can come in and it's like it's a whatever thing, you know.
So do you have a favorite piece that you absolutely love, but then no one else does?
Oh, that's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that. Hey, I probably do. And I probably have a lot of them from taking photos. I do have photos that I snap and I'm like, this is it. This is the one for me. And then I share it and it doesn't receive as much of a reaction as I think it would have. And then the other ones that are just like subpar and I'm like, yeah, this is a whatever thing. And then people are like, oh my days, this is incredible.
Oh my gosh, doesn't that annoy you? Because I've noticed the most basic stuff gets a reaction from people.
Like, simple is better, you know. It's like, simple is better. Then I kind of realize, or you kind of realize with art is that everything affects people in a different way. So there's a reason why I feel like that's the best shot for me. It's either a memory or a feeling that it invokes in me that's tied to my story and my perspective alone. And the reason why they think that that piece, the one that I think is subpar, is incredible is because of their perspective, their upbringing, and their situation. That specific photo evokes a certain feeling or emotion that I cannot relate to, you know. So it's going to affect everybody
of all
differently.
Their experiences,
Exactly. So you're going to get that mix of emotions and feelings, and you're like, but what the heck? This is just like the most simplest thing I've ever done. Why are you getting so hype about it? You know, focus on the other stuff. I need that stuff to blow up. But that's the crazy world of being an artist, being a creative, and the kind of reactions that you get. And I think on that topic of reactions, what's it been like for you? Sharing your work on the internet. What's people's responses been, and how have you felt about it?
It's been mixed. for me. It's been very mixed responses because I think when I first started drawing again, I assumed I was gonna get the same reaction I used to get in high school, or the same reaction I used to get when I was a kid, where everybody was amazed at what I was doing. But I stepped out and realized I was actually very ordinary, right? Like I stepped out and I realized, oh, like maybe I'm not like the best artist who has ever lived. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not Da Vinci yet. I'm not there yet, right? So like that's when I learned, like there's just one quote that I love that's called show up, realize you suck, and get better. So like that's one thing that I did. So what happened was I would draw like my first drawings. I don't know if you've ever scrolled to the bottom of my Instagram.
Oh, I have.
But
I definitely have.
It's not cute. So like my very first drawings, I thought, because when I started drawing again, all I said was I was in university with one of my friends, and I was like, I want a coloring book. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I want to make a coloring book. And then I sat down and I was like, I'm gonna make a coloring book. So that's how I started drawing again, because I was just trying to make a coloring book. And then as my art was evolving, I realized that maybe I should look at what other artists are doing and see what pens are they using, what actually is line drawing, who started this, how did they do it, like how do they evolve, how do they make it look good, why are their lines so smooth, why aren't my lines so smooth, like what's going on with me?
Question mark.
Exactly. And so I started actually studying it the way I would study like for school. Like I sat down and I would like look at other people drawing and like looking at other people doing stuff. That's when I started to realize that like there are line artists out there that are very good. Like I was like, whoa, okay. So I thought I was gonna get famous with my little doodles. Maybe I need to go back to the drawing board and think about mastery, think about actually being extremely good at what I'm doing. Like, yes, I have a creative spirit and it does come to me easily, but it's also a skill and it needs to be learned and it needs to be improved. So the reactions basically are, most of the people that follow me are my friends. So my friends are just like, hey, this is really cool. This is really cool. So there's some pieces that are like really cool, but then there's some pieces that I create. I don't know if you ever have like this feeling when you create where you feel like you've just transmitted some form of energy into a piece where like when
what just happened?
Exactly. And then another person sees it and then they feel that same energy and then they're like, whoa, this feels like that, right? Like I love that. So I've gotten that with a few of my pieces, and those are my favorites because I know that I can feel it too. Like whatever they're trying to like explain to me that they can see in it, I can see it too. So the reactions for me, it could be like 4 or 5 people who say that, but I'm like, okay, I think there's something here. So like I'm one of those like artists. I still have a very low follower count on my account, but I realized that like I want to give like my few followers like the best that they can get of me. So that's why I'm like kind of studying and getting better at it. Is what's making me more excited about it. So I'm kind of like more excited about being good than the reactions at this time. And the one thing I also realized after showing people my work was once I'm done with it and it leaves my hands, it seems like I don't own it anymore. It seems like that the people that are looking at it own it. You know what I mean? Like it seems like it's gone. Like it's like oh well it's theirs now. So the most fun I have is when I'm actually making it and creating it and thinking about it, or like because some things I think about them for a while before I actually put them on paper. So that's the most fun I have with my work. So I think I get most of my fulfillment from the time, like the intimate time I spend making it before I even post it. And when I post it and people like it, I get like that, obviously that like hit of like, oh yay, this is awesome. But I also know that it's theirs to enjoy now, so they can do with it whatever they may. So yeah, that's where I'm at with reactions. Like it's mixed, you know, like I'm like at one side I really love them, but on the other side it seems like it's gone now.
I love that so much. I love that you mentioned it. And you're not the first person to mention it. You're the second person to mention it on this podcast.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Which is incredible. Which is so incredible, bro. Like, it's like, and I think I've done a video on it as well. And I think having that mentality, you kind of realize that you need to let go of those reactions. You know, it's theirs to deal with. It's theirs to interpret the way they want to interpret it.
But I want to, like, I think part of me wants to like keep it though. It's my baby. So
Exactly.
I'm holding on to it.
It makes sense because when you create it, there's a certain reason why you're creating it, right? There's a certain thought process, there's a certain message that you're trying to convey, and then they take it and then they see something completely different. They're like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say, though.
It's like, what is this?
But I appreciate you mentioning that. I appreciate you mentioning that and being off the realization of that, because you can easily get frustrated, man. Like, you can easily get frustrated with people not receiving your work the way you want it. But I think at the same time, we don't have control over what people feel and think and how they see our work. So being able to surrender to that is like incredible, I feel, you know. But you talked about creating a piece of art and pushing all this energy into it and then everybody feeling it as well. That just got me thinking, what's your process like? You've got incredible doodles, honestly, and some of them I'm like, bruh, like, how'd you think of this? You know? So I'm very curious to know what your thought process is like, from start to finish, where you draw your inspiration from, and how long it takes to complete an average doodle, you know?
Okay, so I'm gonna sound like a lame artist and be like, I don't know what my process is, but I have some.
I'm just talented like that. Yeah.
Exactly. I just wake up one day and which, to be honest, for most of it, sometimes it is like that. I just see something in my room. Like there's this one drawing of headphones that I made. I literally was sitting on my bed and I had just taken off my headphones because I was gonna go to sleep, and then I was like, oh, those look nice, and then I just drew them.
What the heck?
So that was like very like basic and very like chill and calm. But for the most part, so usually my doodles come to me when I'm doing other things. Like if I'm in a meeting and I'm super bored, I just grab paper and I just start drawing so I can pay attention. I pay attention better when I'm doing something else. So then like I just start drawing. So that's like one kind of like, if it's like super basic or like just repetitive lines, that's where it comes from. But when I have a concept for it, for example, I used to want to draw like a skyline image of Harare, the city. Like I used to want to draw like a skyline image, and I would have it in the back of my head. And I was like, I really want to draw that, but I don't know how to do it. So I just had it in the back of my head for like, I think it was like months where I didn't draw anything. I was just thinking about it. I would sometimes look at pictures and then just think about it. I'd be like, I really have to draw that. And then before I tried drawing it on like digitally, and then it didn't work out for me because it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So I was like, no, that's not what I'm seeing in my head yet. So I don't want that. I want the thing I'm seeing in my head to be on paper. So I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna like keep like exploring. That's when I started like looking at other people's drawings, looking at everything that other people are doing. And then so I kind of soak in patterns from looking at other people's patterns. So like I kind of like, my brain just kind of records like cool patterns that I see people doing, or like cool patterns from like plants, or like cool patterns from like the gravel on the road. Like it could be anything.
That photographic brain of yours coming in handy.
Exactly. It's very useful.
Let's go.
It comes in handy, really. So yeah, so like I just like have all these patterns in my head, and then when I sit down to draw something, it's more intuitive. So if I draw a shape, the task is filling the shape with the suitable pattern for what I want to draw there. So like I could draw a circle, and then whatever comes to me to put inside that circle is what I do. And so that's what the process is like. So it starts with the shape. So the shape could be of an object, like an animate object. Like literally, like it could be anything. And then I have to put patterns around it. Like I have to put like lots and lots of things, like this and that and this and that and this and that, you know? And after like I've kind of smothered the drawing with patterns, I start shading it. So I want like certain parts to be dark and other parts to be light, but I want the two extremes of black and white. So if it's dark, it's going to be black. And then if it's white, it's white. And then if I need something in the middle, it's going to be dots. So yeah, so like that's basically the process. Like it's very simplistic. It's very like
it sounds simple, but when I look at it and I see the final product, I'm like, what's going on here?
You remind me of this one time. So a few, like I think it was last weekend. some of my friends that do murals were like, oh, can we please borrow like one of your drawings? We want to go draw it like and do a mural. And then I was like, oh, sure, you can do it. And then when he came back, he was like, what the hell, man? Like,
is that with Calligraph Co?
Yeah.
I was gonna get to that, bro. All my days, bro. I was like, you know what?
Yeah. No, he came back. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know what you mean. He's like, what? How do you have the patience to do that?
Exactly? How? Like, what the heck? I've seen some of your videos as well where you do like a time lapse, and I'm like, this is sped up to like 30 seconds, but this takes much longer.
A lot longer.
So much more patience, man.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Snap. It's because, like, so my thoughts and my brain generally move very quickly. So when I draw, everything slows down. So it's kind of like my time. Yeah. So it's like my time to just be very chill. So I could sit there for 2 hours with just the lines going and it wouldn't even feel like anything.
And do you have like a specific environment you prefer to work in? Like, do you have like, I only work at my desk at this time, etc., with music on? Or whatever?
No, I do not. I have drawn everywhere. I will draw in the car. I will draw in an airplane. I've done that. I'll draw on my bed. I'll draw on my couch. I'll draw in the kitchen. I'll draw on the floor. This one time, like one of my drawings, like I was at home, like in my parents' house, and they were like sitting on their bed talking, and I wanted to be around them, so I just went and sat on the floor and I drew.
And then you started drawing.
Yeah, because I wanted to listen to them talk, because like they talk about like random things. So I was like, okay, they're gonna be my background noise. I'm gonna sit down on the floor and draw. So no, I have no specific place I can draw anywhere.
That's incredible. I wish I could record my podcast anyway.
I wish that.
I don't have that luxury. I don't have that luxury. I can't.
Yeah, you have to sit down and actually.
I can't record in the kitchen.
Get situated.
Or in the plane.
Exactly. Just randomly on the plane. Imagine taking out your microphone and everyone around you is gonna be like. Oh.
But that'd be an incredible. That'd be a really cool twist to presenting content, right? Up into a plane and start recording a podcast mid-air.
With everybody.
Like, what the heck? Come on now.
Exactly. Mid-air.
Oh, I'm getting crazy ideas.
Yeah, cool people around you, they would definitely contribute.
Oh yeah. That was crazy. Just took a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah, we did. Podcasts are tangents. It's fine.
We do that here. We do that here. But I was also like curious to know why line art, you know, specifically why line art. Art's very vast and broad in terms of what you could do with it, and I would assume you've dabbled in its vastness as well. I mean, you spoke about drawing Moses in the burning bush, bruh. You spoke about drawing some of your best friends as well. So portraits, you know, I'd assume you were exposed to a lot of that throughout your studies in high school. So how do you zero in on line art? How do we end up here?
Yeah, so I dabbled in everything. Like my favorite medium was oil. I loved oil painting because it looked real. Like it looked realistic. Like when you draw like fruits with oil, it just looks real. So that was like my favorite medium when I was back in high school. So it would be still life oil painting. But after I kind of started like branching out, I wanted to do stuff that's more abstract. So I tried like making shapes and doing all sorts of things and mosaics and all sorts of things and trying to get like paint on paper in very interesting ways. But I realized that I don't know color theory and I don't want to learn. I don't want to, and I don't have the desire to know how to. And so there was a part of me when I started off with the whole coloring book thing of like, wait, but if I make something, someone else can color it for me. If I make a template, someone else can complete it for me. So like that was what was in my head when I started doing lines, because I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I want to learn how to color. And I still do paint. Like I do have like, I have a self-portrait like in front of me right now. But like I still do paint sometimes, but I do it to kind of like, you know how when you're a writer, you have writer's block? If my art kind of gets blocked, I do something else. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like I kind of still paint, but I paint for like, it's those fun things that you do, like where you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a good time and like paint something. But yeah, so line art was because I was just running away from learning how to color and learning color theory, and I just didn't feel like the pressure of knowing what color to put with what also was removed, because now all I have to do is figure out the shape of it. All I have to do is figure out what I want it to look like. I don't have to think about those layers. So it makes it very simple for me. It makes it very simple for me to complete because it's only two things. It's black and white paper. That's it. So that's where I'm at with that. It was basically me just not wanting to do it.
I love it. And I think anyone else listening to it or someone listening to it will be like, oh man, no, she's lazy, you know, oh, you know what, like, what the heck? But from what I'm getting is that you know yourself, you know, you understand yourself, and you've made an effort to figure out how best to accommodate what you're good at and what you know you can tolerate. And I again, it comes back to that topic we spoke about in the beginning about being at the job and being comfortable in a position that's not comfortable. And you're like, oh, because everybody else has done it, I'm going to force myself to learn these colors. But it's like, that's not me. That's not what fuels me. It's draining me to have to learn these things. So it's not bad to find a medium that allows you to still do art that doesn't require color. So that again is incredible. And I don't know how many people have that courage to, and it's very different as well. Like you're saying, oil was what you enjoyed, but probably oil was what a lot of people were doing as well. A lot of what you'd grown up seeing was probably that, because that was what you're into. And now stepping into this uncharted territory of just like no color and probably no inspiration at that point, I'm just assuming here, is like, what the heck? You know?
No, I get what you're saying for sure, because when it comes to like, I used to think black and white was boring. Like I used to think, and even if you were to see my surroundings, it's very colorful. Like, and even if you see like the way I dress is very colorful. So people are confused, honestly, when they see my art, because they're like, what? We would expect you to have like, I don't know, 50 different colors or like sparkles or like glitter or like whatever. And it's just like plain. And I used to be scared that black was too boring or like black wasn't like expressive enough. So I used to be actually pretty scared about that. But the thing is, like what you said, that's what I wanted to do. Like that's what I felt like doing. So it kind of like stuck, because I was like, you know what? I think this is the best thing for me to do personally. This is what I like. We'll see what happens. Like, and to be honest, like the whole thing I was saying of like, I'm gonna do it, and if someone wants to complete it, they will come and color it. It has happened before where like I have other artists be like, this is really cool, can I color it? And I'm like, sure. Like, please do. Like, that's what I want. I want collaborative creation, so let's do it. Like, you do you. So yeah, no, that's definitely.
I want to color some of your stuff. I'm no artist like that, but I want to color some of your stuff.
Do it. Pick your favorite and go nuts. Do what you need to do.
Let's go.
Do what you need to do.
And I appreciate you dropping in collaborations in there, because I was definitely gonna ask about that. That one for me is a big one. It's one that's dear to my heart. I mean, obviously, the podcast.
Yes, you were going to be talking to a lot of people, which is good.
But I'm always very curious to hear what people think about that. And I think I've seen a little bit of your collaborations with Calligraph Co as well, as an organization that I follow and like the work that they do. I've seen you do work with them as well. What's that experience been like? What are your thoughts on collaborations, and how else would you like to collaborate in the future with other people?
I love collaborations. I am obsessed with them. Like I am an artist who loves artists. Like I just love them, which is so funny, because where the art is, that's where I am. I always laugh that there's this one lyric in a song that always says like this, like it was this old lady who spent all her money on the ballet, and I was like, I'm gonna be the old lady who spends all her money on art, like all my money, they can take it. They can just take all of it. But yeah, so like I love when like artists like step out and they do something different or they create something. So most of my motivation to create comes from seeing other people create such cool things. So I love collaboration. So whenever like someone reaches out or I reach out to them and I say, hey, can I do something with you, they're very excited, and I'm also excited because I'm like, yay, we get to collaborate. So when I did the collaboration with Calligraph, I had been at home, like I've been in Zim. I love going to Zim. You have probably heard me mention Zim like 5 times now, but because I love it, I am obsessed.
I miss it so much. I am obsessed with Zimbabwe too.
Oh yeah, no, I go there place. Like I think 4 months out of a year. I have to. So yeah, so I went home, and one of my friends who's actually an art curator, like she runs ABAM art movement, like African born artists movement, and she said, hey, like your art is really cool, it would really work on a wall. And I was like, what? I'd never heard of it before. And then she's like, I have these friends, they do murals, can you go talk to them? And then I just sent them a message, and then they were like touring, and then they came back, and I spent the afternoon with them, like just the whole afternoon chilling, relaxing and talking. And they're like, hey, so I brought my sketchbook just to show them what I do. And they're like, this is really cool, let's collaborate. Can you start with designing a background for one of our pieces? And then I did the background. And then it was super cool because like they used Photoshop to kind of like make a contrast with the lines with different colors, and it was so cool. And I was like, wow, I didn't know it could look like that. This is way fancier than I thought. Okay, let's do it. And then like
art meets technology, eh?
Oh art yeah, I was like, yeah, the only thing I use like Photoshop for is literally just like cleaning up my lines a little bit, but like nothing like that. I was like, wow. So yeah, they fixed it up. It looked really nice. And then yeah, a few months later, they were like, "Oh, we're doing this thing. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yes." And they're like, "We're doing this thing. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Yes." So I kept like going on,
bringing more.
Exactly. And I also collaborate in the sense of if I see somebody like who's like maybe following their dreams, I want to contribute to that. So I have my other friend who actually currently runs my Instagram, who just like she finished law school, decided she wanted to be a social media manager, like completely just like.
What the heck?
Completely so just changed. Yeah, completely just
so
changed.
Different.
And she's like, does anyone manage Kundoodles? And I was like, no, nobody does. And she's like, I'm taking it over. And yeah, no, I had to collaborate with her, and I did. Then my other collaboration that I did was with a photographer and a videographer. So I just like, these are all like up and coming people, like people with like less than 100 followers on Instagram. That's who I work with, because I'm like, we're all at the bottom. We need
at the same
to help
level.
each
Let's
other.
lift each other up. Let's lift each other up. I love that.
So like photographers are my favorite as well, because they always make my art look really cool. Like they just like have so many ideas, and I love sharing my ideas with them and like have them bring something to life. So I've worked with like 2 photographers as well, and a videographer today, because I was like taking a video for my other product. So I'm very excited to like collaborate. I'll collaborate with everybody.
I'm so keen to see this new product. The content you've created for this new product, the one you showed me earlier.
Oh yeah.
I'm so hype about that.
It was interesting. They used my kitchen island to film, which was really cool, but it was
improvise.
Yeah, you gotta improvise.
Use what you have.
Use
what you have and make the most of it. You know, use what you have and make the most of it. Oh no, but I love that you love collaborations, man. Like that's something that's dear to me.
I'm collaborating with you right now as well.
Let's go. That's literally it. You know. And you'd be surprised, man, like how many people aren't keen on the idea. And I mean,
really?
That's you, man. Like, yeah, like do you. But I think there's a lot that can be learned from opening up your doors and your skills and sharing your knowledge with other people. It's a whole new world, man. It's a whole new world. And I think it also challenges you to get out of your comfort zone. And I think with you working with other artists, their style is a lot different from yours, so you kind of have to humble yourself to learn and be patient so that they can understand you, and vice versa, which is a beautiful thing, man, which is really, really nice to see.
The
Yeah.
communication part, like, is the harder part. Like, kind of saying what's in your head to someone else and having them take it and mix it with what's in their head.
It's crazy.
it's,
It takes a lot of
it's just,
patience, a lot of
it
patience,
does.
and a lot of humility, man. Uh, you know, our minds is such a complex organism. It's like, what the heck? It's very difficult to adjust. But once, the more you collaborate, the more you learn how to communicate, you know, and relate with other people. So I
I basically
appreciate
don't
that
have a
about you.
comfort zone. Yeah.
Really? None at all?
No. No.
Dang.
I'll do anything. Like, I'm one of those people. Like, I'm pretty daring, so like I don't really have that, like, yes, we could in some sense say that me sticking to black and white is a comfort zone, but honestly, I wouldn't perceive it that way because I feel like creating a template is like creating possibilities. Like, it could be
Mm.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so that's why I'm like, yeah, I basically don't have a comfort zone. I'm like, whatever happens, happens.
That's
Let's go.
incredible. That's incredible. And I know this is not the same thing, but it just got me thinking, do you think that there's certain projects or certain collaborations that you'd actually turn down?
Hmm. Um.
I'm talking from probably I guess, what you stand for, a philosophy perspective, a moral perspective. Are there certain things that you just like, no? Because I know people who are just for everything, let's go, you know?
So I've been getting increasingly uncomfortable with commissions lately. Actually, I when I started off, I was like, yeah, I'll draw anything. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. And then I'm increasingly getting a little less enthusiastic about them. I think it's because sometimes, like, it's that whole butting heads of like my vision and the person's vision of like I'm trying to deliver what they want and I'm trying to deliver what they would like feel like is great, and sometimes it's not the same. It's almost never the same, right? And I'll deliver something that's closest to what they want, and I've had like positive reactions where people are like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking about, but like sometimes it's like not not at all.
Not at all.
And with the way I used to be such a perfectionist, so like I would get like a gut reaction when someone puts in like 5 6 comments on something I've done, and they're all like negative, and they're like, no, move this here and put that there and do that and do that.
Come
And I'm like,
on.
oh my gosh, oh my god.
Take
And
it
so I
easy.
used to I'd be like, no, that's too many, comments, I don't know if I can do that. So I started learning to like take feedback a little bit more. But as I grew and I was implementing the feedback, I found that like commissions really make me feel like I'm just doing what the other person wants, and like I'm completely not in the equation at all. So I might step back from them. I might step away from them for a little bit, honestly, because I feel like it kind of stunts the creativity. It doesn't let it grow. It stunts it. So I'm like, okay, we can stop for a little bit. I only opened them like for 2 months out of a year because I'm like, I don't know if my brain can handle like a lot of it. Yeah.
And those are the
So
decisions we need to make. Those are the decisions we need to make as creators. And it's that balance between your creativity and your artistic expression with the practicalities of, making a living as an artist. It's like, how do you draw that line?
yeah, because commissions make money. That's the honest truth. Like, commissions are gonna make you money very quickly. Your piece from like your head might not make money immediately. It might not. It might take a little bit of convincing for people to buy it, right? So it's very different. So if someone asks you to do something, it's easier for them to pay you for it than if you just do something on your own and expect other people to pay for it, which is very interesting to think about.
Shucks. It's not just interesting to think about, it's difficult to think about and come to the conclusion of, you know what, I'm going to only open my commissions this amount of time per year. Like, that's huge. But then you also need to be sure that you you have some certainty when you make such a decision. You've got some certainty that there is income coming from somewhere, creatively speaking.
Oh yes,
It's
the two jobs
commissions aren't the only thing you're doing,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
being able to have that flexibility is a blessing.
I think right now I liken my art to like a temperamental toddler. Like it just like demands money. Like it's eating all my money. It's not paying me back.
I can
And
relate.
it's like, I want a
Oh
snack.
my
I want a
days.
snack. And it's just like it just keeps going. And I'm
my
like, oh
days.
gosh.
Oh my
And she's
days.
like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pay you back one day. It's like, yeah, but when?
But
when are you gonna start paying rent for this space you're occupying?
I literally
Yeah,
can relate, bruh. Like it's literally
yeah,
the
it's
same
gonna be a
thing.
while. It's gonna
just
be a while.
money out, money out, money out, time out, time out, time out. And it's like, okay, when's it gonna happen? But then I think the joy that comes from it as well is you can't compare it to anything else. You can't compare
The
it to
funny
anything
thing
else.
is, yeah, the funny thing is, one of my friends asked me like, "Would you ever quit? Like, if you never like got famous, would you quit?" And I'm like, "Never. Like, I would keep doing it forever. Like, I would keep pumping money into this forever. Like, I don't think I could ever leave it
Till the last day.
I'm like, no. I'm like, at least I showed up. At least I did it. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm like, no. It's definitely like more of like a passion thing than anything, to be honest. So I'm like, no, I don't think I have it in me to like stop drawing forever. That would not work for my life.
And that's good, to be grounded on that, because for a lot of us, it does start off as a hobby, and then somewhere in between, it turns into something we can make money out of. And once that happens, sometimes you lose sight of why we fell in love with it in the first place. So when it comes to a point where it's not generating income anymore, it's not something we want to do. So being able to
do you think
yeah,
I was just saying, do you think you're ever gonna feel that way about your podcast?
no ways, no ways. And I was feeling it, and I was thinking it, just recently. I was telling you that I haven't done this. How long has it been? Maybe 3-4 months, which is a long time for a podcast, like unexpected. Like it's not a break, you're not stopping or starting a new season or whatever. It's just like I posted the last video and never did anything after that. And I remember someone asking, are you okay? Like, are you done? And that got me thinking. I'm like, snap, this is definitely not something I ever want to be done with. I will take time out, and I think just looking back at this period and how refreshing it's been, I think I will take time out often. I think the good thing about having content like a podcast out there is that very rarely has everyone watched everything. So through a period where I feel like I need to rest, recuperate, I can take that time out. But I think I need to be mindful about how much time out I can take. Because I think I want to be relevant. As creatives, we all want to be relevant. We all want to occupy a space and a piece of the pie. That's just the facts. Whether it's for the reactions that we get out of it, which fuels us, or for the potential of this passion of ours to generate income and put food on the table, we need to occupy a space. And I think the biggest lesson I've learned just now taking this time out is that we are replaceable in that space. Like if you leave your pie and put it in the fridge and you're like, I'm gonna have it tomorrow, it might not be there.
It's gone.
It might not be there. There's a lot of people waiting for that piece of pie. And
it's so true.
At the same time, the people that are being satisfied by the content we create are also looking there. You leave a gap in their minds, you leave a gap in their space and in their time. If they were watching your podcast or if they're consuming your content every Thursday on their way from work and you don't have that anymore, it's like, okay, I need to find something else. And they find something else, and that's that. So the world's growing in terms of the amount of people that are realizing how creative they are, how talented they are, and boy, are they talented.
Oh my gosh, so many people are very talented.
Yeah, so the more people are out there, the smaller the pie gets in terms of the piece you can get. So I'm just learning that time out is good, it's needed, it's valuable, but how much time out? How much time out can you really take?
That's so true. Yeah, you reminded me of like when you said the whole thing of like if you leave and then you come back, like your people are gone.
The pie is gone.
The pie is gone. Nobody's there. And it's so interesting because like I was reading this one book and it's about creativity, and then it's by Elizabeth Gilbert, the lady who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. It's called Big Magic. And so she was talking about how like ideas are like transmuted, if you may, to like maybe like 5 different people at the same time. And then the person who executes it is the one that gets to run with it. But if you get an idea and then you don't work on it, it's going to go to somebody else.
It will.
So somebody else, yeah.
Bruh, do you know how many times?
You see something that you thought about and you didn't do anything about it. It's out there in the world existing. And you're like, huh?
I was thinking when you mentioned the thing about, I have this idea in my head and it's just in my head, it's not on paper, and I need to stop that, I need to put it on paper. I'm like that, I've got these ideas, but I don't write them down, I just have them in my head and I think about them often. I'm like, but it'd be really nice to start a business ABCD that runs ABCD, but that does a different ABCD. Bruh, you know how many times in the last year
someone started your business? Yep. That's the thing. God is gonna take it somewhere else.
I was like,
God is like, okay, you won't do it,
bro.
Take it to the next door.
I was just like shook. I was honestly shook, and I was like wrecked, absolutely wrecked. I'm like,
yeah,
I've literally been dreaming about this since I was a kid. Like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's like that's my business. How do you have my business? Yeah, no, it's definitely true. Like it leaves, it'll go somewhere else. So it's almost like you kind of execute and occupy your space immediately. Well, not immediately, but when the time is right.
Yeah, you definitely need to be proactive, and I think another big lesson for me there. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of stuff I've seen, and I'm just like, I was thinking about that.
I thought about that. It's like I thought about that.
But like you said, I think I like what you said. Is like God's gonna take it elsewhere. Like God has a purpose, God has a will, and He's got these things that He has to achieve. That are part of His plan, and if you're not gonna do it, somebody else will. Somebody else will
gladly step into that role, and they'll execute way better.
Which is crazy and scary, but yeah, I think we spoke a little bit about tech earlier, and you spoke about Photoshop, was it? Yeah, and how it had this incredible ability to enhance your work in a way that you'd never seen before. And I had to speak about artificial intelligence and the thing.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Within that space, and I'm like,
yeah.
The tech impact on line art or art in general is just like been incredible. It's crazy to see the things that people can do with artificial intelligence. Like I can go into my computer, type in a prompt, and it's not even coding, bro. Like plain simple English. Like this is what I want you to do, and it'll do it. Like, how do you feel about that? And the potential it has to either harm or discredit,
so it's mixed feelings for me because AI it's out for both my jobs. Like I'm a writer and like it's out for like both my jobs. Could disappear. Like the two things I'm good at could disappear basically. So it is definitely out to get me. Well, for writing AI, I found that like right now it's not as good as a human. So that I'm like, okay, yeah, it's gonna take a while for it to get there. So it's fine. It's like a 5th grade level writing. So I'm like, okay, you know what?
I'm good for now.
Exactly, I'm good for now. But with fine art, it is killing it. It looks amazing.
It's scary.
It's scary how amazing everything looks. It's scary how good all the drawings are looking or paintings or whatever. I'm like, wow, okay. But I don't enjoy that people are creating from a prompt. I don't like that because I think it misses the energy of it, like the energy we were just talking about it, like earlier, that like we kind of need to have that human touch to it, that human creative soul at like putting something to paper, right? Like it's different than when someone just puts a prompt, because obviously like a program is going to do all of it and it's not really gonna have that same effect. So I think part of like I have bittersweet. It's bittersweet, obviously, because it's nice to look at. I just like looking at
It is
things,
nice
but
to
it's
look at.
also it's like it's nice to look at. But it's like I like that idea of how mind blown I feel like when I see an artist actually do something with their hands and it comes out looking amazing. And it's like a human being created that, like from scratch, from nothing. Our hands create so many beautiful things. Like, I think it's really nice. So I don't know. I don't enjoy that AI is, getting into fine art. I don't enjoy that because I want artists to still, again, be relevant. I want artists to still earn a living from drawing. I don't want someone to just want a painting and instead of like looking them up online, like the person who did it, they have to just go and put in a prompt and someone's going to produce something similar. Like, I don't enjoy that. So I'm like, no.
I'm scared for it too.
No.
Let me tell you that. I'm scared for it too. I've seen it being done with photography. Like, I've seen photos being thrown into an AI system and ask the system to generate similar photos but like different times of the day or different seasons. I'm like, no, come on, bro, like don't do that.
Oh my
don't
gosh.
do that.
Oh my god.
And then it produces it in winter or in spring or like I'm like, what
wow.
the heck,
and
dude?
The way I struggled with one of my friends as a photographer to like catch 7 p.m. because the sun is going down and this is gonna look like this.
It's
and that.
so
and
different.
I'm like, what?
That energy, that feeling, bruh, of trying to catch the sunset, and you're rushing and you're like, oh, we're gonna be late, that's all taken away, bro. That's all taken away. And for me, it's like we're becoming more and more locked in and isolated. If as a photographer I don't need to go out and snap photos anymore and I'm just doing it from the comfort of my home, that's dangerous, bro. And I really feel like that's incredibly dangerous.
It's taking away a very big part.
Yeah, social media has already done like an incredible has put an incredible dent in our socializing already. Like, people are very comfortable being at home and being on the phone and connecting with people that way. No one really wants to go out anymore. And now you do that with things like art, things like even music. I don't know if you've heard about AI voices being generated of like
oh my gosh, yeah, I heard about that. And I'm like, no. Like, you can touch anything, but don't touch music. I mean, music is such an integral part of society. Dude, like, you can't do that.
Dude.
Like, you know how many people like are alive because of music? Not even because of making it, but because of consuming it. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, yeah. I'm like, no. Like, I know, like, some of my favorite artists, I'm like, if they weren't alive, I don't know what I would do. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I would do. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, now you can create music.
You can just create something similar
from your favorite artists' voices with your own lyrics,
Oh my gosh.
In your own genre,
No.
In Sungura.
In Sungura. The way I love Sungura, I'm such a diehard Sungura fan. Like,
take your favorite Western artist.
And have them do it in Sungura.
Exactly. With your lyrics.
Oh my gosh.
In Shona. Undebele, but with your voice.
Undebele. Oh my gosh. Yo, I can't
that's the word. That's the world we live in now.
I don't want it. I want like Sungura to stay Sungura. And I like that old school Sungura too. I'm back
Sungura.
there, yeah. So I'm like, no. We're not doing that. We're not gonna harm that.
Yeah, but that's the world we live in. And I thought it was just interesting it's been interesting to hear what a lot of the creators think about it. And for the most
creatives
part,
are not with it. Yeah,
a lot of them are not with it, but at the same time, the more radical ones are like, okay, I don't like it, but it's here and it's not going anywhere, so hop onto it early.
For my writing, I definitely have hopped onto it. I will get it to do a draft one, no problem. But the thing is, I still probably get that hit of satisfaction that the draft one is not as good as I would.
It's never as good. I think it's good as a base. It's good as a foundation, but it's not gonna be as good.
Exactly.
And I think I was gonna say I mean, we've seen it a lot with people with new tech coming in to the global space and people being skeptical about it. And then when it takes off and it reaps a lot of benefits for people, we start regretting it and we want to jump in later. So a lot of people are like, yo, don't make that mistake again. Find a way to make it work
to
for
jump
you.
on it. Yeah,
Exactly.
no.
To make it work for you.
I definitely know people that are very like, are you open to this change? AI is not going to take your job. It's going to do this. One of my friends who's a writer and I were like, we should probably learn some more useful skills. We're going to go learn how to like garden or something. Like,
there's no AI gardening yet.
No. So we need to go get outside, do like real work, because at some point
you're killing me.
Shall be jobless.
Hey, you're killing me, bro. It's like, we need to learn some real skills.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like it needs to happen.
No, we're living in scary times. But I'm excited, I guess, to see where it goes, see how it develops.
No, me too. Yeah. Again, I feel like everything just falls into place in a way that we don't expect. So that's why I'm kind of navigating it like with caution. I'm more like, I'm not necessarily jumping on it, but I'm not necessarily like being like, this is terrible either. I'm like right in the middle. I'm like, it's a love-hate relationship. I'm like, okay.
It is a love-hate relationship for me too. It definitely is. But I mean, we've just spoken about the evolution of tech here. I'd like to speak about the evolution of your line art. And we spoke a little bit about it in the beginning, and you're like, oh, have you scrolled right down my page and seen the stuff that I did in the beginning? But yeah, I'm just interested to hear from your perspective how you've seen your art evolve and change over time. And what changes have you seen that have been significant, and how have they impacted you as an artist and as an individual generally?
So initially, I feel like I used to go like straight from my brain with it. It used to be very intuitive. So like when I draw, like when I'm in class or listening to something, like I would just like draw random patterns like in the margins of my books or something. So it was very much like no plan, nothing, just like head to paper, like completely. Then when I started doing it like a little bit more to like show other people, I started like kind of like thinking about a pattern. I'm like, okay, flowers look like this, so I'm gonna like maybe make it look like this or that or that. Like now I have to think about it a little bit. Then after I got my base, I started transitioning back into that intuitive space again, because now like I know the tools I have, the patterns I have in my head, and I'm like transitioning back into like using them just freely and not necessarily restricting them anymore. So like I think looking forward, I want to kind of like take it like old school, like learn what like old line artists used to do like back in the day, and then try to implement that slowly. And then I want to do those like massive, just like from your head, no reference type drawings where I'm just going with it for like a large piece of paper where I'm just like going with it and I don't know what it's gonna look like at the end. So like that's like my dream almost, is like creating like art that kind of feels very like, I have an artist that I follow, his name is Peter Draws, and his art just like looks like he just like starts from his head. It's like a doodle, but it just keeps growing and growing and growing to something super massive. So I'm like, I want to have the ability to do that. Like I want to be able to sit down with like a massive piece of paper and fill it with something that still looks cohesive and still looks like something, but looks like something in my head, basically. So yeah, that's probably where I want my art to evolve to. I feel like I've changed as a person in the sense that I've already said that I learned to approach it as a skill and not just as like, oh, this is the vibe, I'm just gonna go with the vibes.
The vibes.
And exactly, I'm just gonna do whatever. And then I kind of like went into it with a different like mindset where I'm like, okay, we're gonna try it like this, we'll try it like that, we'll try it like this and that. And then yeah, we're definitely going somewhere. So that's where I'd like for it to evolve. And I read somewhere that like your early 30s are the most creative years of your life. So what I'm kind of doing right now is like I'm gathering all the information I can gather to see what I'm going to produce in my early 30s. Like I'm kind of just like hogging everything and like putting my ducks in a row, and then we'll see what happens in my 30s.
I did not know that your early 30s is when we were the most creative.
I read it like it's I don't know if you know Robert Greene. He said that. So
oh
like,
snap! So there's So it's about to get lit for all of us. Hey, let's go.
Yeah, we're about to be great.
We're just warming up. We're just warming up.
Yeah, we're doing it. Like,
we're
it's gonna be great for us.
That's exciting to hear. That's exciting to hear for me. But I appreciate you sharing.
You better prepare. Yeah, you better prepare.
Oh, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready now.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you sharing that, and I think what I'm realizing there is, you have evolved from when you began, but you're still evolving. You see, there's like, you're still on this journey, and there's still this place or this level that you still want to reach. And I firmly believe that when you do get there, still, you're gonna look at yourself, hopefully, and be like, okay, how else can I better myself? And that's a never-ending process,
Oh yeah.
Going through life. It's
evolution. You're always gonna learn something new about yourself or about your work. How do you feel about your evolution so far?
Oh, I think I've grown mentally, definitely. My thought process about how I approach my art, my creativity, and the work that I produce. And I think I shared a little bit about it earlier, is that initially I was very numbers focused and reaction focused. I probably was doing things to satisfy the people, that's the first thing, and which makes sense. That's what we're trying to do. That's how you sell, right? You need to satisfy people. But I think I was focused on satisfying an audience that required for me to create content that I wasn't comfortable with, so. But I guess at that point I was trying to find myself. I knew for sure that I wanted to make videos. I wanted to create content, but I didn't know what. So I experimented a lot with a lot of different things. And through that experimentation, all of it was just based on what's trending, what do people like. Let me see if I can do it, And that crushed me when I didn't get the reactions that I expected to get. It was like, but I'm doing what's trending,
It's like, yeah, everybody else did it. Why is it sticking?
Yeah, so I think then I kind of grew and realized that no, the reason why I'm creating is so that I can express myself. It's the things that I'm feeling, the things that I've gone through. I can't sing about it. I can't write about it necessarily speaking, but I can make videos about it. I can sit down on a podcast, speak about it. That way, have a conversation with someone and record it. So I'm still trying to figure out how best to present the podcast as well. It's constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. I think so, people who follow my podcast from the beginning are probably like, "Ish, Chief, make up your mind,"
Which one is it?
Which one is it? But it keeps changing. Like the colors and the design and everything. And now it makes sense that you mentioned that in our 30s is when we truly shine, because in my 20s, I'm still trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
I'm really experimenting.
Okay.
And right, like you just said, those words, it's okay, were things that I was scared to embrace. It's okay to change. It's okay to navigate that space, and find what works for you. Because like I said in the beginning as well, the one person that I need to satisfy first is myself. If I'm not happy with it, I'm gonna get miserable. I'm gonna get very miserable.
Oh, for sure. And it's immediate too. Like you feel
exactly. So, that's the huge shift, I think, from when I began to where I am now, is that I'm focused less on the numbers and the reactions, and I'm focused more on creating a satisfying product for myself first. And then what you realize is when you do that is, in a world of about 8 billion people, there surely is a few couple thousand people who can relate to
you would think
that position. That conclusion you get to in the end, after evolving, after figuring out and testing and trying, there is definitely a market that you'll satisfy with that. The question is now at that point for me would be, are you content with that? Do you want more? Because you can satisfy a few, but you can't satisfy everyone. Is another thing that I'm realizing. So that's where I'm at now. And in terms of where I want to be, I definitely want to be more consistent. And I lack in that so much. Such a weakness for me. Being able to be consistent, consistently putting out work, consistently recording. It's huge weakness and something that I need to work on. I think I'm very satisfied with where I'm at in terms of the visuals of what I create, the photos that I take, the style that I'm shooting in and editing in. I love that. The rest of it just boils down to my character now. That's what I need to work on. My character, my consistency, and my discipline. Right? That's what I need to work on now. And hopefully I can get to a point where it's just second nature. It's just a habit. Podcasts are recorded, podcasts are edited, and podcasts are posted consistently as possible. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. No, that's very good. That's very cool. And I like how you mentioned like changing until you find your thing. It's kind of like when you sit in a seat and it's not quite comfortable, you have to kind of like shift it a little
You
bit.
adjust it, exactly.
Hey,
exactly.
It's not quite right. Yeah. Until it's like right. And you're like, okay, I'm comfortable here. I can settle here. So like I kind of got that when you were like, I'm satisfied with the visuals. I'm satisfied with this. And like, that's pretty cool. And I could definitely like learn quite a bit from that as well. I think for me, I kind of hacked my inconsistency. So what I did was I realized that I have just accepted it for what it is. And
that's an incredible hack. It's a mind-blowing hack.
Yeah, I have accepted the fact that I am not, in fact, a consistent person. Yeah. So what I did was I knew I get these rushes of like times where I'm very creative. So what I do is I maximize on that. I create only during that time where I feel like it. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, ideas, creativity. And I create all my work because I know there's a lull coming. I know there's a slump coming in a week or two. So I'm going to like kind of like intercept it by like working when I like generally can. So that's how I kind of hacked the inconsistency because I knew I could never do it. Like I think it's just like one of those things where like I think just because of the way I'm set up right now, it's gonna be very difficult to ever come to a point where like I can actually consistently show up like that. So I would just trick people into thinking I'm consistently showing up by front loading my work because it's very hard. Yeah, I get that. But
you and me understand each other there very well. I'm literally the same person. Like once I get this burst of energy to create, bruh, like I'll go out and record 15 videos in a row, and then I'm not for like the next two. I'm done for like I'm tired, bro. I'm like fatigued. I'm like what the heck? But at least I've got this backlog of content that I can continually post, and it seems like
you've just created it.
I've just created it, but I've just put in a lot of work in a burst, and then just kind of pace myself in terms of coming to post it later on, which I think for me that works really well. It works much better than having to record and edit every single week.
Oh,
you
wow.
are my brain.
Like I can imagine. Plus, even nature has seasons, right? Like it's winter sometimes, it's summer sometimes. Like we can't now be like sleeping all the time.
Kundai with the bars. Kundai with the bars. Let's go.
It's too much. No, but seriously, when you think about it, like I think
nature has seasons. Come on now, like that's what's up.
But I don't think about it though, like because it was just winter right now, and it's like we're getting into spring, and I find that I'm so energetic because it's spring, right? Like I know I'm not gonna have that energy in winter, so why not just like do all my outings, do all my hangouts in spring, and then when winter comes, I see. Like it's fine.
I love that so much. I'm more of a winter person myself, though. I love
really.
It.
Oh my gosh, can't relate. Why would you do that to yourself?
All right, but does it snow in Ottawa? Does it snow there?
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
it does. It snows.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and no, it's too cold. So what I do is I actually leave when it starts. So when it's November, it starts snowing, and I go to Harare for 4 months. And then
I haven't had the privilege of staying in a place that snows, but I love winter, specifically because I prefer to take more moody photos. So super cloudy, not much sunlight, rainy.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
so you would love the snow then.
When winter
that
comes,
would really work for you. Yeah,
I really have a good time.
You need to try it out for a little bit. You need to try it out because that content would be amazing.
Yeah, everyone I know who stays in areas where it snows, and I tell them I love winter, they're like, okay, come here for 2 weeks, and then
Yeah,
I'll ask you again. I'll
just
ask you
try it
again.
out. Yeah,
They're like,
just
I'll
try it
ask you
out.
again.
You know, let's see how lovely it's gonna be when it's -40 outside and you're waiting for the bus. Like, let's see how lovely it is. Like, let's wait.
-40, bro. Oh my
Bruh,
days.
it's not the thing. Like, it's
That
not the
does
vibe. But yeah,
that.
like I used to love it, honestly. Like, I love it before Christmas because it's like Christmassy. And then after Christmas, for me, it's just too much now. Like, at that point, I'm tired. Like, I'm like, okay, it needs to go. It needs to go. But then ever since I decided to like kind of like leave, because I work remotely, so I can be anywhere. Ever since I decided to leave and like be with my parents, like I'm happy. Like, I'm with, like, I'm at home for 4 months, and then I'm here for 8. So it works out for me.
Living the life. That must be
Yes.
beautiful.
It's
always
so
sunny.
fun.
It's always sunny for me.
It's always sunny in my life. I don't know winter. Who is she?
That is a blessing. That is a blessing. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh no, but it's really been amazing. Kundai, chatting with you.
Yeah, it's been a fun
really
chat.
do appreciate having you here. We are about to wrap up, and about to wrap up, I mean like 10-15 more minutes.
That's okay.
But I do have maybe 1 or 2 more questions, mainstream questions, and then we're gonna play a quick game at the end of Would You Rather, which has become a little bit of a custom here, so gotta keep that going.
I like traditions.
But yeah, my first question would be first question. Oh, you know what? What has been what has been your biggest artistic achievement or success, just when you look at yourself personally?
So I have 2.
Okay.
I have a personal one, and then I have a public one.
Okay, yeah.
So like my public one would have to be the mural I did about like the Oliver Mtukudzi one in Harare.
Oh, that is incredible.
Like,
that is a beautiful one.
Loved that. I really enjoyed having that out there. Like, I really enjoyed, like, definitely that was one of my favorites. And then my personal one is this, I have this drawing that's called Chaos's Cousin, which is like half the girl's face is a normal face and the other half is like a lot of different patterns. Like, it's just so many different patterns. I feel like that drawing marks when my drawing style changed. Like, it marks the time where I started like shading things in or like trying different patterns. And I feel the energy of that drawing every time I look at it. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing ever. So that would be like my biggest art achievement for sure.
What's the name of the piece again?
It's called Chaos's Cousin. It's a bit lower on my like timeline.
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I've seen it
before.
No,
it's a girl who has like half her face like as like a normal face, and the other half is like patterns. So yeah, it's my favorite because it looks chaotic, but it also like reflects literally what goes on in my head. Like, I'm like, that's what I look like.
And that phase you were going through, like you're saying, switching from one artistic style to the other as well. There's a story behind everything. Shucks.
There is.
There's a story behind everything. Is. That is beautiful. And the last one would probably be, I think we spoke earlier about going back to 16-year-old you and being like, hey, you're all right, you know? It's all good.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. But yeah, like, what are some of the lessons that you've learned now that, you know, when you kind of look back and you're like, oh, if I knew this, it definitely would have changed a lot and impacted my personal life a lot differently?
I think I wish I would have known that being creative or being artistic was gonna be my way out of everything in my life. Like, I wish I would have known that my art would save me, like, any day, no matter what I would go through, that's the only thing that's gonna be holding my hand, like, yep, let's go. Oh, you fell? Okay, let's go. Yeah, what's that? Okay, let's go. So I think I would have, if I'd known that earlier, I definitely would not have done a lot of chaotic things, because I would have channeled all my emotion into my art. So, like, I feel like I definitely, like, would have liked to know that. And I think I would have liked to know that being creative isn't, I used to think that I needed people's approval to be creative. I needed someone to give me, like, a stamp of approval. Like, here is your certificate. You may now go create. Like, I didn't know that you could just do it. I thought you needed permission. I thought you needed a degree. I thought you needed, like, someone needed to kind of tell you to do it,
Some kind of validation.
And I realized, exactly, some kind of validation. And the thing is, as we have established, I love academic validation. As we have established, I love good grades. But, like, I thought I needed to wait for permission. I thought someone was going to give me some form of, like, blueprint or some form of, like, I don't know, like, hey, you need to do this. And I just, like, I had to just start. Like, the ticket was just starting. And I definitely, like, would have liked to be told that a little bit earlier in my life. So yeah, those are the two things that I find that I've learned a lot in my life, is that, like, every time I'm sad or like I'm sad or like I feel like really out of it, like, and I talk to my dad or sometimes, and he goes, hey, like, so have you been singing lately? And I'm like, no. Have you been drawing? No. Have you been doing anything creative at all? No. And it's like, yeah, and we're sad. How about we try doing one creative thing and see if we're still sad?
That is powerful. That is powerful.
Exactly. Just one. Don't even, So it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, literally, your creativity, it's your friend. You need to kind of befriend it and be familiar with it.
That is absolute vibes, bro. And I'm like just thinking about this thing I've been telling myself recently after this long period off. I've just been reflecting and trying to figure out what I stand for, remembering why I do this thing and some of the principles that I want to hold on to moving forward. And one of the things that I'm holding on to is staying connected and being creative. And that staying connected part, I mean, speaks on, the collaborations, learning from other people and feeding what I've learned to other people, but more importantly, staying connected to God, but then the other part is just being creative. Like, it doesn't always have to be something you post. It doesn't always have to be something you have to sell. It doesn't always have to be something you share with other people. Sometimes it's just for you, that feeling of, I made this, I created this, I put pen to paper and I completed this. And it's just going to stay here on my table for me to look at. That changes the game. So I think I appreciate your dad and being like, have you done anything creative? And you're like, and you're sad,
Exactly.
And
it's
it's really the simple things sometimes. I think for me, I really want groundbreaking solutions to my problems. It's like, I'm feeling so stressed, like I need ABCDs.
Yeah, like
no.
Captain America used to, like, bust
exactly
through
the door. Save
like,
the day.
I've got the solution.
Take it easy, bro. It's in the simple things. More often than not, God has presented and given us the opportunity to have everything we need to survive. If we just take the time out to pace ourselves and find it right there,
No, it's true. And have you seen how, like, great, like, art gets when you're more connected to God? Like, this is just a theory I have, but I'm like, yo, like, I feel like I'm on another plane. Like, I'm like, what is this?
It's like, I've cracked the code.
I'm like, wow. Cracked the code. Like, I pray a little more, and then suddenly I'm drawing these weird things. I'm like, wow.
I've literally cracked the code. Nice. And then, like, unfortunately nice. For me, it's not consistent. I crack the code sometimes, and then sometimes
sometimes the code leaves, and you have to reread.
I'm just so disconnected from God, and you're right, it affects my creativity, bro. I'm being 100%. Disconnected from people. Being disconnected from people, being disconnected from God really does affect my creativity. So I think there's two other things that I'm trying to hold on to, and just piggybacking off what you've just said now. It's just like, I wish I knew, but now I know that being creative is most probably the answer to a lot of my problems, if not all of them. If I can be sober enough and conscious enough to realize that and take that action in those times, things would be a lot easier. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, and I appreciate you sharing as well.
Thank you so much. But that's what I have for today in terms of the mainstream questions. And again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here.
No, it's been very fun. And this is the
I,
first time I've done sit-down conversations about creativity.
oh, it's the first, but definitely not the last, because once these doodles start blowing up, you know,
Oh yeah, the doodles.
we're going,
The
we're going to,
doodles.
once your art starts blowing up and your murals start blowing up, we're going to have to start reaching you through your assistant. You
My
already have a
assistant,
social media
yeah.
manager. Hey, it's
I
only a
do.
matter of...
No, it's because I need to delegate. I realized I am not Superwoman. I can't do it all. I need to delegate. That way I get more stuff done.
But how challenging is that, though? You know, being able, for me, I think it's difficult because, again, we spoke about having um, an idea in your head and finding it difficult to communicate that. So now, once you start delegating and having people on your team, it's like, how well do these people know your vision, and how well can they execute it the way you want it to? So
That's the thing. Yeah.
how
No,
difficult is that now for you to have people on your team?
that's the thing. I think I have a cheat code because the people, like for example, the girl who's managing my social media has been my friend since we were 13.
Oh, so you're mixing business and pleasure, hey.
So this person knows me and knows me very well. Yes. So yeah, you gotta work with your friends. It's fun. It's fun times. So yeah, so like the cheat code is like she knows me and she knows my vibe and she knows the kind of things I would post. Like, and if she posts something that's like completely different from like what I would post, she would know. Like, because she's like, Kundai doesn't talk like this. She would never say something like this. You know what I mean? So like, it's little things like that of like making sure like that I kind of express what I want in a very clear way. Like, I think I also have a bit of an advantage because like what I was saying, that I'm a writer, so communication is kind of like a thing that I have to know how to do. Like, I have to know how to explain things. So like I try my best to like do my due diligence and like explain what I want and be like, hey, like I want this and this and this, but I also don't want to hinder her artistic talent either. So like I want her to kind of like explore with it and do what she needs to do, but in the realm of what's relevant to me. So I generally do both. Like I explain it very clearly. I'm like, oh, I saw this cool thing. Can we do it? And then like she can sprinkle in a bit of her creativity on it, and then it becomes like a, again, collaborative effort where it's like something good. So I don't necessarily have that knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, mine, because I've decided to share it because it's making my life easier because I get to like free up my time and focus on creating.
Oh, so, you are God sent, bro, for real.
So yeah,
you're speaking to me. You're literally speaking to me. That's God
the stuff you needed to
humbling me, literally. That is incredible.
Yeah, you gotta think about these things sometimes. You gotta think about it.
Thank you for sharing. No, honestly, I like that. It's like I'm sharing it. You know, it's less about me. It's less about me.
Yeah,
and
it's ours.
It's more about the team. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Yo, I just got a hectic discipline there. It's like, yo,
yeah, you gotta think about it.
No, thank you for sharing. I'm definitely gonna hold on to that. I think, and this is why I like doing this. This is why I like hearing what people think. Because I think I've definitely, that's how I've been approaching it. You know, I've been approaching it from a very skeptical position. In the back of my mind, I know it's necessary to have a team. Like, you can't do this thing alone. I mean, Jesus in his glory came down and he had like 12 guys backing him.
He had 12 assistants. He had 12 guys backing him. He had a posse.
You know yeah. But again, you know, my fear is in this thing. You remember we talked about fine-tuning our arts, fine-tuning our style. It's like, okay, I've been working on this thing for 5 years, and then you're gonna hop on, and how do I know I can trust you to deliver or handle it with care, you know? But we can't do this thing alone. We've established that.
No, as a creative, it's very difficult to do, because, and the thing is, the time it takes for you to learn that skill to a way like that you're like competent enough at it to actually be good at it. I was like, no, I'll just get somebody who's already good at it. Like, that's just one thing. And because I realized I was taking way too long learning editing styles, learning this and learning that. And I was like, this is taking a very long time.
This is not a one-man job.
I could just ask someone to do it. I'm like, But it's funny though, because I never used to be like this. I used to be like again, one woman show. I would never ask for help. But now if I can get help with anything, I will give that help. Like I'm like, do it. Please do it. Yeah, even when I started my Etsy store, I used to like do all the listings by myself and list everything. And now I'm at that place where I'm like, okay, how about I get somebody to help me do this? Because I'm probably not going to be able to research 13 keywords for 50 listings in one sitting with my 30 minutes a day that I get from my job and my side hustle. Like it's crazy. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So that's the part of that I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that boat, because I think in the back of my mind, I understand that I'm not always going to be at 100%. You know, I think about this period that I've had now, this 3-4 month period. Imagine if I had one other person who was on the team and was a part of the podcast. You know, the incredible thing about what I'm doing is that the podcast is not self-titled. I could definitely have someone else come on, hop onto the train, and continue having interviews in a period where I'm feeling a little bit low and need to recuperate. Now, how incredible is that? You know, how incredible is that when it comes to consistency?
Yeah. Pick someone you trust. Pick someone who understands your vision. And if they don't, make them watch all the episodes from the first one until they get the vibe. Just make them watch the whole thing. Just go to boot camp.
You know. So yeah, that's like really been helpful, and I think I'm gonna boldly and publicly say that I'm going to actively make a commitment that at least by the end of this year I should have another individual who is a host of this podcast. I'm publicly 100%. And boldly saying that.
Yeah,
it's one thing to learn
your whole audience. Yeah, your whole audience is gonna hold you to it. Yeah, we're watching.
And I intend for them to do that, you know. I hope that they do. And I think it's one thing to learn things, and boy have I learned a lot of things on this podcast, but it's another thing to like implement them and actively take action. So that's my challenge for this year. Thank you, Kundai. I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that. It's
you
incredible.
learn something new every day.
Every single day. Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm going to jump into the would you rather questions. So about 5 questions. Just to see how you would navigate certain situations. They're not too crazy. But I'm just keen and excited to hear how you think. All right. The first one is, would you rather be the best at one thing, like the very best at one thing in the world, like you're the only one who's like top dog, or be decent at everything else? So you can never be first, subpar, you know, probably always second or third.
I'd rather be decent at everything.
What is it that you're not really good at right now that you would love to be at least decent at? For me, it's playing the piano. I can't play the piano. I'd love to play the piano.
Singing. So I'm basic at it, and I would like to be great at it.
Do you make music? Do you record music?
I do, but I want to be good at it.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do, but I want to be good at it. So
where can we listen to this? Where can we listen to this?
No, you can't listen to it anywhere. It is in the comfort of my home.
It's in the comfort of my home when I'm cooking and doing the dishes.
Yeah, exactly. I started taking lessons last year, like singing lessons actually, to get professionally trained. Because I used to be part of a choir, and I wanted to like kind of go back to that. So I got somebody. See, I got somebody else to train me.
Yes. Literally the things we've been talking about.
Exactly.
Practicing what you preach. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about probably trying to get someone to teach me how to play the piano.
Yeah, get somebody to teach you. It's way faster. I'll tell you that.
I'll keep you posted to see how that goes.
Yeah,
see
let
how
me
that
know.
goes. All right. The next one is, would you rather live in a world without music or a world without books?
Why would you ask that? Oh my gosh.
Pick one. You can only pick one.
Okay. Man. Okay, I'm caught between two things. Like, for the good of society and the world, I would say let's keep the books. But if I was selfish, I would say let's keep the music.
You have to pick one. You've literally chosen both at two different times.
Okay, fine. I would say music, because like I've seen music get people out of like so many bad situations. Like, for example, in African culture, at funerals, singing is the thing that gets people through.
Bruh,
like
I'm
keeping the music.
I'm keeping the major African event, there has to be
the music.
If you're sad, you sing. If you're happy, you sing. If you're celebrating, you sing.
Yeah.
Everything.
You gotta sing.
What I mean?
You gotta sing and dance. So like, yeah, no, we're keeping the music. The books can go. We'll pass things down word of mouth, no problem.
I wrote this one and I was like, yeah, the books is definitely gonna wreck her brain. And then when you mentioned how much you love music, and I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so fun.
Exactly.
But I was thinking about it and I was like, yo, the same thing about music, right? Like, it's incredible, and its ability to reach masses and communicate so many. Like, you can listen to a song that you don't know what they're saying in terms of the language, and still feel like, hey, I've been moved.
Exactly. You get so moved.
You don't even
know what they've said. Yeah, that's so true.
So I was obviously probably leaning towards music, and then I thought to myself, I was like, yo, but there's this one book. It's called the Bible. Like, I can't live without that one,
But there are people who have lived before us, who have this information, who can pass it down to us. So that's what I'm like, someone read it, someone somewhere was alive when Jesus was alive, and they're gonna tell us.
That's smart. That's smart. Okay, I see how you go. But I mean, you're right though. Like, if there are no books and Jesus did come, there would be another way for that information to be passed down.
Literally, the information would come.
It would pass down still.
Because even us having this conversation, right? It's basically everything we've read and everything we've like gone through. We're talking about it now, and people are gonna hear it. Like, we're fine. We're fine without the books. Get rid of them.
Oh, you're smart. Bending the rules for this one. Hey, I see you.
Exactly. It's like someone's gonna tell. It's really funny because when we think about it, because I do read quite a bit, like when we think about it, and like there's that saying that people always used to say, like, oh, to shame people into reading, like, oh, if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book, to shame people into reading. But the thing is, I feel like, bro, our culture has passed things down in story form for the longest time. Like, if you need someone to learn something, tell it to them. Like, don't shame them into reading if they don't want to. Just tell them what they need to know. Like, it's that simple.
It is that simple, bar a little bit of remixes, because once we start telling stories, the temptation is to put our little flair to it. Hey?
Oh, 100%. The flavor will come.
I am definitely one of those people who spices the story.
Oh yeah, you're gonna spice up the story. It just will not hit the same if it hasn't been like embellished.
You know how life-threatening a trip to the shops can be when you're telling a story.
100%. Oh yeah.
And then this guy,
the storyteller. I damn near died. Like I remember I was telling one of my friends a story, and I was like, Kundai, that's not what happened.
That is not what happened.
That's not what happened.
Or you're telling a story about how you went to the shops and you got KFC, but it takes you like 30 minutes to say it. You're like,
exactly.
You could have just told me. You could have just
You've
told me.
You've seen this homeless guy who tried to attack you, and then you screamed at them. It's like, bro, like, you just got KFC,
all about
relax.
The flavor. That tells me that everybody is inherently creative. You can't tell me anything about it. Every single human being on this earth is inherently creative, bruh, for sure.
They will create. They will. The tales will come.
All right. I love that one. Okay. The next one is: would you rather be able to speak any language fluently or play any instrument like a virtuoso?
Speak any language fluently.
Yeah, I'd go for that as well.
Yeah,
I'd go for that as well.
Yeah, because communication is key. Yeah, you gotta know. Yeah, you gotta know how to speak to people. Yeah, so speak.
I'd love to play the instrument, the piano, like a virtuoso, but I mean, the language just trumps. It trumps any day. I'd go for that one.
I think, I think for me with musical instruments, like, I value them, and like my dad taught me how to play when I was a kid, but like, it's something that I feel like if I sat down and did it, I would probably be able to do it. So it's not something that I revere to that extent. Do you know what I mean?
Learning a new language is difficult. Yeah. And it's challenging.
Whoa. You're learning
how many languages can you speak?
Oh, not a lot. 2.5.
2.5? What's the half? French.
The half is French. Yeah.
French. Most Zimbabwean.
It's a cop-out. Especially like because I live in Ottawa and it's like English and French. So you need to be
really?
So it's a cop-out because it's not even, I don't even like speak it properly. I just see it on all the signs everywhere. So I understand it fully. I understand it completely. And like that's the only thing. Like so I speak very good Shona though. Like my Shona is fluent. Like I know all the tumors, like I love Shona. Like I love it as an art even.
I do not back myself with my Shona. I always have my boys telling me,
it's like, yeah, you
sentence
try.
construction, yo.
It's like it's not looking good.
It's not sounding right, bro. But I speak it with so much confidence, bro. Like I love it so much. I speak it with so much oomph. And they just look at me and they're like,
they're like, yeah, no, you're trying. No. My Shona is something that I can back it. Like I can back it for real.
I speak 2 languages. I've had a mind of wanting to learn Ndebele. I do feel like the Ndebele have done an incredible job at learning Shona, bro. Like,
we
just there like. Cool.
It's an official language. Like it should be. Like it should be something taught in schools.
It should be 100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's also another thing that I need to get at on the very long list of things that I need to get at.
Exactly in life.
Hopefully, I can get to that. All right. So the next one is: would you rather have a lot of free time but no money, or have a lot of money but no free time?
Oh, hold on a second. Let me think. I think I'll have a lot of free time.
Okay.
No, I think I'll have a lot of money.
Oh.
No, I'll have a lot of money. Yeah, no, I'll have a lot of money and no free time. I think I'd rather have that.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think I'll have the money and no free time for sure. Like, for sure, 100%.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think this one's pretty straightforward for me.
Yeah. What would you have?
I'd go for money and no free time. There's a certain peace of mind that comes with knowing that you've got a healthy bank account. And there's a certain unease that comes with not knowing. Yeah, with not knowing if I'm going to lose my job, if I'm going to get paid, if I'm going to be able to afford A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's uneasy. You just don't sleep as good,
Exactly. And there's that feeling of like, and the thing is, there's a safety that comes when you know that you have money. Like that safety, you can't compare that to anything. And the thing is, for me, I always think about, I want to have a lot of money because I can give it to people too. Like I can like liberate people to live their dreams. So it's like not just me keeping my own like all the money for myself. Like I can give other people free time with the money. So like it's like, okay, I'd rather have the money in my hands so that I can do fun stuff with it. Yeah. Even though I'm not like sleeping because I have no free time.
Oh, I don't sleep anyways right now, and I still don't have money. So I'd rather have money and not sleep.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's true. Same.
I'm already tired now, and I don't have money. Might as well put money into the equation.
Exactly.
All right, so I've got one more just to wrap it up.
Okay.
And
one more. That's pretty
would you rather live in a world with no social media or with no streaming services?
So that's Netflix, YouTube, and them.
Yeah, Netflix, YouTube, Apple TV, TV, all that stuff. Yeah.
So that means no access to any form of TV, or like maybe like cable TV would still be available. Like
I think cable TV is still available. Yeah, so the stuff you don't have to pay for. Yeah,
and we can still go to the cinema. We can still go to the cinema and watch movies.
I like how you like to bend it, you know? Like, okay, let's just make sure. I love that.
You gotta think about these things.
That's a very
you should never
good
sign
question.
anything
That's
without,
a very
without
good question.
asking.
Okay, no, so we've got the cinemas. Cinemas.
Okay,
is
we've
pretty
got
old school.
cinemas. We've
Cinemas
got
pretty OG.
So
yeah, we've got cinemas.
get rid of the streaming services then. Get rid of them. Because to be honest, they're killing art anyway. So like, get rid of them. Like we don't need it. But the thing is, the problem though is with social media, I would like to get rid of it in the sense of like, it would probably be very healthy for our brains to not be watching other people live their lives all the time and actually being out there living our lives. But I feel like it's a necessity in terms of like businesses and stuff and knowing where to find things.
It is.
So like, I think we'll keep the social media, even though I have mixed feelings about it, and then we'll get rid of the Netflix and them. We don't need them. They can go. And then if you want to watch a movie, go to the cinema. Now we know how to properly rate movies because how many people showed up for opening night, how many people came back.
That's
like,
what's up.
Better. So
Literally.
we're good. So we're okay. What would you do?
That was a good question. I think I'd also kill the streaming services and keep the social media. I think streaming services are the equivalent of what fast food is for the entertainment industry. And like you're saying, it's really killing the art, bro. Like, and it's impossible to consume all of it. There's so much on there. It's really crowded. So, and you don't get time to. I think movies, cinema is an art form that needs to be appreciated for what it is. And because it's so fast paced with streaming services, you don't get time to really genuinely appreciate what it is that you're watching, or probably even draw the lessons that you're supposed to get out of them. What it has become now, it's become like a filler. It's almost like how you listen to music when you're working. You kind of just have this
you feel your
thing playing in the exactly. It's just playing in the background as you're kind of going through your day. And I'm like, okay, so then are people really getting the messages that are being taught? But when you're in a cinema, though, you are there and you're plugged in for that time. Lights out, lights are dimmed out. You're zoomed in and you're focused on what's being shown on the big screen. If it's a documentary, if it's a movie, whatever it is, you're drawing the lessons, and that time is set for that thing. It's very you're easily distracted with streaming services. If you're watching it on your phone, if you're watching it on your computer,
on your computer,
pops up, you're distracted. And I think that's taking it. It's taking away from the value that those things are supposed to produce and the lessons that they're supposed to teach,
and the time taken as well.
It's literally just a filler thing, bro. It's not an art piece that's been released that needs to be appreciated for what it is anymore. So I definitely kill that. But you also mentioned the social media aspect. I did an incredible detox of the people that I follow, and just try to focus on following people that closely resemble the creator that I want to be. And if I'm constantly fed with that, then hopefully I can develop myself to become a better content creator. But at the same time, it's not like by not following other people, I'm not supportive of them or I don't care about them. It's just that I'm trying to hone in and focus on what it is that I'm trying to achieve as a content creator. And I can still support people without actively following them. And for me, I think I was getting very distracted by people living their lives,
and then you're like just watching them
live their lives and achieving all these things and doing all these things, and it's not my intention. But deep down in my core, when I'm looking at it, a part of me is like, flip, I wish that was me. I'm not there like, oh, I'm so happy for ABCD. My initial reaction is, oh, flip, when is it my turn? And then I leave a comment and I leave a like for the show of it, but I'm not genuinely meaning that. So
happy,
it wasn't doing good for my heart, and it wasn't genuine as well. So I think that's the risk that social media has. But on the flip side, as a business, how else are you going to reach people in different parts of the world?
There's no other way. You're not going to do word of mouth in 2023. You're right.
And you don't have, I don't have the ability to put my work in a gallery. I'm not at that point yet, So social media is kind of all I have if I use it right. and in moderation as well. So yeah, I'd
Yeah.
kill the streaming services, keep social media, but with a lot of tweaking and consciousness to that as well. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for chatting. You know, there's a lot to talk about. We could talk all day, but
it's really been fantastic. It's probably been the longest podcast I've ever done, actually.
Oh wow, really? Yeah, I think
we've been recording for like 2 hours.
Oh, okay. that's pretty long.
But yeah, it was really fantastic, and it'd be nice to have you back again here.
Yeah,
maybe
of course.
In a year's time. Constantly
following you can shoot me a message anytime. Yeah, so, you can shoot me a message anytime. I love creativity, so 100%.
Excited to see you grow, and excited to see you collaborate more, and excited to see you evolve as well as creative. Thank you. I'm excited to see your podcast grow. I'm excited to see more of your photography. I'm excited for everything, honestly. Thank you. I hope it does. I hope it does grow, and I hope we do evolve. And we live out the things we've declared.
100%. You know what? I would hope that when I'm 30 years old, I can say, hey, I'm a full-time artist. Like, I would hope that for myself. I want that. What's up.
Let's work towards that. Yeah. Let's work towards that. Let's encourage each other towards that.
Of course.
Let's lift each other up towards that. We can definitely do it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. This was fun.